Welcome to another episode of Thunderbirds Character Chronicles. This time we're focusing on International Rescue's London agent, Lady Penelope Creighton-Ward.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Born on December 24th, 2039, Penelope is the daughter of aristocrat Sir Hugh and Lady Amelia Creighton-Ward. She was educated first at boarding school in Rodin and then went on to finishing school in Switzerland, where she became an accomplished skier. Lady Penelope then returned home to Creighton-Ward Mansion, the family's 18th century stately home in Foxley Heath in southern England. Having inherited her father's taste for adventure, she soon tired of the endless rounds of social engagements and sought a more challenging sense of purpose.
I've often felt I'd like to do something exciting, like being a secret agent.
Through family connections in British intelligence, Penelope was able to take on increasingly challenging assignments and soon became a fully fledged secret agent, using the cover of a globe-trotting reporter and fashion model. Soon after this, she joined the newly formed international espionage agency, Federal Agents Bureau. There she rose through the ranks until she became the Bureau's leader. One of the agents under Penelope's command was Diane Sims, who would go on to become Rhapsody Angel of the Spectrum organization. Penelope's association with International Rescue began when Jeff Tracy was searching for a British agent. Jeff had heard about Penelope's exploits with Federal Agents Bureau and arranged an initial test of her abilities, which she passed with flying colours. It was then that Penelope, along with her newly appointed butler and chauffeur Aloysius Parker, were formally invited to join International Rescue as their top agents. With her cool poise and nerves of steel, Lady Penelope has proved to be an invaluable addition to International Rescue on several occasions. Her first mission for the organisation was to prevent the Hood from getting away with photographs of Thunderbird 1. Penelope, with Parker at the wheel of their modified pink Rolls-Royce Fab 1, pursued the Hood along the M1. Upon reaching a quiet stretch of motorway, Penelope gave the order to open fire and the Hood's car was blown off the road. With the Hood's pictures ruined, International Rescue's secrets were safe. Penelope is more than capable of taking out villains single-handedly. There was one occasion where she was behind the wheel of Fab 1, being pursued by a pair of crooks. After trying out several of the gadgets at her disposal to no avail, and the criminals opening fire on Fab 1, Penelope was forced to take drastic action.
They leave me no choice.
Not long after this, two more crooks broke into Creighton-Ward Mansion to steal Penelope's priceless jewel collection. After Penelope and Parker blew the tyres on the crooks' car, they attempted to make their getaway in Fab 1. However, Penelope was prepared for such an eventuality, locking Fab 1's steering by remote control, leaving the two crooks driving round in circles for the rest of the night. One international rescue assignment Penelope was heavily involved with was the search for Professor Borander. The scientist who had invented a way of converting seawater into rocket fuel had disappeared from a monotrain during a journey from Paris to Ahmedabad. His business partner, Sir Jeremy Hodge, a fellow international rescue agent, requested Penelope's help with finding the professor, and she joined him in Paris to work out a plan of action.
You must help me find the professor, dear lady.
Of course, and we've got to work fast. We're up against men who will stop at nothing.
Their investigations led them to taking the Ahmedabad Express themselves. Upon entering the Ahmedabad tunnel, there was a power failure and the train ground to a halt. This was the doing of the same man who had captured Borander, the evil Dr. Godber. He kidnapped Penelope and Sir Jeremy and took them to his hideout in the tunnel, where he and his henchman Roach were also holding the professor. Penelope was then strapped to a ladder and lowered into the path of the oncoming train in order to force Sir Jeremy and Professor Borander to reveal the new rocket fuel formula. Fortunately, Gordon and Virgil arrived just in time to apprehend the villains and save Penelope, moments before she would have been hit by the train. Lady Penelope proved to be instrumental in tracking down the criminal impostors who had impersonated International Rescue to steal secret plans from the Aeronautical Research Station. Posing as a fellow journalist, Penelope questioned TV reporter Eddie Kerr, who had attended the fake rescue, and obtained vital information from him, which enabled Jeff to pinpoint the imposter's location. Thanks to Penelope's detective work, it wasn't long before she, Parker, and fellow International Rescue agents Jeremiah and Ma Tuttle had tracked down the imposters to an old mine. With a little help from Ma's exploding beans, they were then able to force them to surrender.
Okay, you win. Hey, let's get out of here.
One assignment, where Lady Penelope was at the centre of the action, was when she was tasked with recovering a stolen set of plans for a nuclear device which, in the wrong hands, could cause the destruction of the world. Arriving on the scene aboard her luxury yacht Fab 2, Penelope's plan was to lure the criminals out into the open by deliberately setting herself up as a target for them. To be sure of attracting their attention, she posed as fashion model Gail Williams and planted a newspaper story saying that she was going to expose the criminal gang. That night, Penelope was visited by the gang's leader Carl, who captured her and took her to an abandoned boathouse along the coast. Once there, Carl planned to dispose of Penelope by planting a bomb on the boat. This would also distract the local patrol boat and ensure a safe getaway for his gang aboard their submarine. Even in the midst of such danger, Penelope was able to keep her cool and, using the emergency code procedure, was able to contact Jeff and inform him of the situation. It wasn't long before Scott, Virgil and Gordon were on the scene to avert disaster.
You knew those murderers would try to kill you. You sure took a chance.
Well, that's what makes life interesting, Scott. The uncertainty.
Gordon recovered the plans and Penelope safely returned them to British Secret Service agent Bonson. One of Penelope's most difficult assignments was when she and Tintin were sent to the Paradise Peaks Hotel to investigate the Cass Carnaby 5 band and find out if they were involved with the sabotaging of rocket transporter planes. To ensure she was able to carry out the investigation without arousing suspicion, Penelope disguised herself as singer Wanda Lamore. The next morning, Penelope and Tintin discovered that the Cass Carnaby 5's musical arranger Olsen was rearranging the band's signature tune Dangerous Game to send coded messages to a foreign power giving flight plans and times of the rocket transportations. Penelope reported this information to International Rescue Headquarters, and Brains immediately set to work on his own arrangement of the song to divert the enemy fighters. Lady Penelope then took to the stage in her guise of Wanda Lamore and sang Brains' new arrangement of the song.
When you play that dangerous game.
Not only did she bring the house down, but the enemy fighters were diverted and the next rocket transport flight was a success. Another rescue operation Lady Penelope played a vital part in was the crab logger incident. The huge tree-felling machine was out of control after both crew members came down with food poisoning. Penelope was tasked with tracking down Jim Lucas of Robotics International, the inventor of the crab logger and the only one who knew the complex shutdown procedure for the machine. After finding out Lucas's address from the personnel files at the Robotics International plant, Penelope and Parker raced to his house. Upon gaining entry to the house, Penelope woke up Mr. Lucas and held him at gunpoint, forcing him to recite the crab logger's shutdown procedure into a recording device. This was then transmitted to Virgil and Brains so they could follow the instructions and stop the machine. Penelope then put Mr. Lucas back to sleep so he didn't see who she was, leaving him thinking it was all a dream until he saw next morning's paper.
God, so that explains it.
Penelope has always been good at finding solutions to help people out. An example of this was when fashion designer Francois Lemaire was worried about criminals stealing his new fashion collection.
What am I to do?
The clothes had been made with his new fibre Penelon, which was named after Lady Penelope, and she had agreed to model the collection. Having already found several bugging devices planted in Lemaire's office, Penelope knew the fashion show needed to be held somewhere free from interference. She suggested they held the show on board the new aircraft Skythrust, due to embark on its maiden flight from Paris to London, and which Brains had been involved with designing. Penelope called Brains at London Airport and he agreed to the plan. Although the fashion show itself was a success, things threatened to go wrong when Skythrust was hijacked by Lemaire's leading model Madeline and Mason, one of the stewards. Both of them were part of a criminal gang trying to steal the new fashion collection, and they forced the pilots to fly the plane out to the Sahara Desert, where 2 more crooks were waiting. However, the gang hadn't reckoned on the cunning of Lady Penelope. By using a miniature transmitter hidden in her ring, she sent an emergency signal to Tracy Island, and Thunderbirds 1 and 2 were soon on their way. Thanks to Penelope's quick thinking, the situation was soon under control. Penelope was also among the international rescue personnel providing security for the launch of the 0X spacecraft. She attended the press conference that took place the evening before the launch and posed as a reporter. There she gifted each of the crew a St. Christopher good luck charm, all of which contained a tracking device. This proved vital when they needed to locate Dr. Grant after he'd been captured and replaced by the Hood. Having been found out, the Hood fled the scene with Penelope and Parker in hot pursuit once again. The chase took them out to sea before they eventually shot down his helicopter.
I don't think there's much point in looking for survivors, Parker.
No, milady.
Lady Penelope was one of the representatives of international rescue aboard the maiden voyage of Skyship 1, a new airship designed by Brains. However, the crew had been replaced by impostors trying to steal international rescue secrets. They bugged the whole ship to record Penelope's voice, rearranging her words in order to send out a phony message and lure Thunderbirds 1 and 2 into a trap. Fortunately, Penelope and Alan worked out the villain's scheme and sent out a warning just in time. After a gunfight with the crew, a stray bullet hit Skyship 1's gravity compensators, causing the airship to crash atop an interceptor tower belonging to the missile base below. Scott, Virgil and Brains mounted a rescue immediately, and Penelope was forced to take control of Alan's Tiger Moth in order to get them out of danger. To the outside world, Lady Penelope appears to be one of the idle rich, but to all enemies of world peace she is elegant, charming and deadly dangerous. That's it for this installment of Thunderbirds Character Chronicles. Like and subscribe for all things Gerry Anderson, and we'll see you next time. FAB.